Did you know that yelling at someone actually activates the same parts of our brain as being physically hit? All right, now everyone is different, and we have to understand that some people are highly sensitive. I'm one of those people that is highly sensitive. Maybe you're watching this video because you're highly sensitive. And there's a whole book on this called The Highly Sensitive Person, or Highly Sensitive People, or HSP, and you can go look into that if you want. I'm sensitive to sound, I'm sensitive to light. When there's too much light coming into my pupils, it's just like a headache for me, like my brain shuts down and my neocortex can't concentrate. In fact, I have to wear these special glasses. They are called gaming glasses. They have a special lens inside that blocks the blue light from screens. And for me, I can hear the most minute sound, even if it's far, far, far away. And so my ears are very, very sensitive. And it's kind of why I was really good at music, because I could, hear things that people couldn't hear, I guess. And so you might be the same too, where you feel sensitive to your environment. You don't like being around a lot of people because it's too much energy. You might be sensitive to people and people's energy. And so what can we do about this? How can we strengthen our being so that we can handle the sound, we can handle the light, we can handle people's energy? You see, I used to really struggle with this to the point where I didn't even want to go outside. I had really bad social anxiety. I didn't want to be around people, and I just became ultra sensitive. This really happened during my spiritual awakening. I went through a journey and process of realizing that I'm not my mind, I'm not my thoughts, and I'm aware of my thoughts and emotions. And it was kind of like a deep, I think they call it depersonalization, where you separate, where you become desensitized from yourself and you don't feel connected to self anymore. And it can be quite scary going into that kind of energy. And throughout time, I even became emotionally numb. I was feeling emotionally numb, and I couldn't have positive feelings, which was really, really difficult for me. I was capable to feel negative emotions and negative feelings, but I was really struggling to feel positive emotions. And this all actually stems, everything that I'm telling you actually right now stems from trauma. It stems from your parents not teaching you about emotions. For a lot of us as children, we weren't taught about how to deal with emotions or what emotions actually are, right? We're just supposed to deal with them. We're just supposed to experience them, especially negative emotions. We weren't taught how to deal with negative emotions. Whenever we did have negative emotions, chances are we were pushed away, or we were told not to feel that way, especially as men. Don't cry, be strong, all of this stuff. And this can be very toxic for people to actually feel and express themselves. See, men and women are supposed to feel, all right? We all have feelings. Now, we live in a society where we're supposed to push down our feelings and live in the head, live in the logic, and forget the heart. When the heart is the feminine, the heart is the first organ to grow in the human body, right? The brain is masculine. The brain is about direction, getting stuff done, logic, right? And the heart is more about intuition and love and emotion, right? And so we tend to move away and live with our head in the clouds. Oftentimes in London, I'll get on the train and I'll just see people on their phones or reading their books, or, people are just so focused on this area right here and not looking around, and they're not, smiling at people or being interactive or anything like that. They're very stuck. And I recently went to Kuala Lumpur, and in that city, you rarely see people on their phones, even though this is where I'm sure a lot of manufacturing happens, and these devices are made. People are not on their phones. People are looking up when they're walking around, and people are there aware. So anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm saying here is we need to feel and express more. We need to be able to be okay with emotions. We need to be able to deal with our traumas, okay? Trauma is the reason why we are one of the reasons why we are sensitive to sound, sensitive to light, sensitive to other people, and why we are so empathic, right? And so when we deal and heal our traumas and we heal our wounds, we actually are able to reframe what happened to us. We're able to reframe our memories. I've had a bunch of traumas that's happened to me in my past. And as soon as I reframe them, as soon as I reprogram and rewire them, I see life completely differently. I no longer have that belief or concept. I've been working on my programs for many, many years now, my subconscious programs. And I've been able to help a lot of people with their subconscious programs. And it's amazing how we go from the beginning of the session with their anxiety or their sadness or their heaviness or the stress, or they're procrastinating on something, or they don't feel abundance, or they're afraid to take action on making more money, or whatever it is, right? They're there. And then after the session, immediately they feel lighter. They feel like they can take action. They feel like they can have less stress and feel more calm, and they feel more motivated, or whatever the outcome is that they want, just through one session with me. And it's amazing that you could just change memories and change traumas instantaneously to get to a specific outcome that you want, or specific state that you want to be in. Now, I still suffer from light and sound and energy from other people, but I'm able to function in my daily life. Before, I wasn't even able to function. It was so heavy. Now I feel much stronger in my spirit, in a spiritual sense. I feel much stronger in an emotional sense, and I feel much stronger in a mental sense. You know, at one point, I thought I was going crazy. You know, I thought I was mentally weak and emotionally weak and all this stuff. You know, and then I reframed all this stuff, and now I feel strong within myself. Does that make sense? And so I know what it's like. And so how can we deal with our trauma? I actually have a video here on YouTube of a trauma healing session. I think it lasted 4 hours live on YouTube, and I help people through their traumas, right? And it was all done live, and people, you know, had a trauma, and then at the end of the 4-hour session, they was able to overcome their trauma. Now, when I'm working one-on-one with someone, it only takes 1 hour, but I was working with a whole group of people. And so obviously it took much longer, and I had to pace myself to make sure everyone was seeing results. Does that make sense? So I'll link that in the description so you can go check that out. How else can we deal with trauma? Well, we can go to therapy, right? We can go to hypnotherapy. We can hire a coach that knows how to deal with trauma. I can tell you, one of the most powerful things you could do when it comes to creating the life that you want, creating the reality that you want, is working with your history, working with your trauma, working with your wounds. Because what it does is it frees up the space, right? You're letting go of the garbage, right? You're letting go of the old so you can bring in the new. If you're holding on to these energies, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, I think a majority of the time, it stops people from seeing the results that they want. Sometimes trauma motivates people into taking crazy amounts of action, where they work all day, they're hustling, they're grinding, they become really successful financially, and they do all these amazing things because it stems from a wound, it stems from pain. But a majority of the time, people are paralyzed. From what I see working with clients, they're paralyzed from their trauma, and they're not able to take action towards what they want to take action towards. Okay, so healing this is the key to creating the reality that you want, or creating the life that you want. If you think about it like this, trauma is the heart, it's the feminine, right? It's emotional. And I was watching a video, I think the guy's name is Dan Pena. He said your emotional capacity determines your wealth capacity. Okay, meaning how pleasurable can you feel? How strong and disciplined can you be? Like all of these emotions, if you can develop all of these emotions, and you know you can be strong in those particular emotions, it's going to lead to wealth and abundance and success. However, a lot of people don't have the emotional capacity to create the results and the reality that they want. And so it's really difficult to get past your trauma, right? Oftentimes I tell people to work on their trauma before they ever work on reprogramming their subconscious mind, or working with subliminals, for example, or working with a hypnotherapist to get them motivated. Deal with your trauma first, because this is the number one thing that blocks you from creating the reality that you want, or creating the life that you want, or creating the business that you want, or having the relationships that you want. Because the brain, the way that it works is it's always designed to protect you from future pain or even present pain, right? And so if you're holding on to this, right, it's always going to protect you in any circumstance, scenario, whatever. It's always going to protect you, because it's going to remind you of this trauma. It's going to remind you of your trauma. You're not consciously, but subconsciously it's there. And so we need to pull that out so you can get the life that you want. Does that make sense? So anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. Now, if you would like to work with me one-on-one in private coaching to remove your trauma and help you create the reality that you want, there's going to be a video on screen right now. And that's going to be a video on how you can work with me one-to-one and get coaching with me. And with that being said, remember to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.